everyone. So today I wanted to share some of the magazines that I picked up fairly recently. And of course there's a common theme with these three particular magazines, and that there's a spread on a 2 p.m. number. But I just wanted to talk about magazines where I buy Korean and Japanese magazines, and just kind of share what's inside these. So I'm going to start with the oldest of these, which is this First Look magazine with Taecyeon on the cover. Let me try to angle this so there's not awful glare. Okay, so this awful glare is not going to go away, but this is the March 2021 issue of First Look. So this is much larger than your standard magazine. And I've noticed with some Korean magazines that they use some of the paper that's almost what you would see in newsprint, which I found interesting. I'm not really sure the choice of that. Maybe it's cheaper to do it that way. But here is the front, and then the back has an ad. And I ordered actually both of the Korean magazines I'll be sharing today off of Aladdin, and they're sort of my go-to site at the moment for just ordering things from Korea in general. And here is an overview of what is in here. I'm just going to flip through this fairly quickly, and then just get to the relevant sections that have to do with K-pop basically. But this is the start of Taecyeon's editorial. With all these different pictures. And what's also nice about all these magazines is that a lot of them do publish these images in HD on like Instagram or Twitter. And so you get really nice digital versions of these images. But of course they don't do it for everything because they want you to still buy the magazine. I'm going to go through the rest of it really quickly. Since we just had Taecyeon in the beginning there. But yeah, as I was trying to say earlier, I like to use Aladdin to buy all of my K-pop things recently. That's just because of their wide selection of things, including all the magazines you can buy, and albums and merch and things like that. They're not the most user-friendly for international use, but once you kind of get a hang of how their site works, it's fairly easy to use and then pay with. And I guess the number one advantage I found using Aladdin is that they have really fast shipping. All the orders I've done through them, they basically ship it out the day of the release or the next day, and they use DHL shipping. So it gets to me in like 2 days. I've noticed, but their DHL shipping rates, it's much lower than K-Town for You and some of these other places. So definitely something to consider if you're looking for an alternative K-pop store. But yeah, this was the first magazine, and I'm going to switch gears and go to the Japanese magazine that I ordered. This is actually the back. This is technically the front. Because it is Japanese. Let's zoom in. And I of course just bought this because it has Minjun on the back cover. And for most of Junkei's Japanese solo releases, he's been featured in this magazine, Barfoot, I want to say that's how they pronounce it. So I kind of want to get the full set, if you will, of all these. I just have the one during his No Time promotions, but let's just flip through this, I guess, backwards. And I also noticed with this one, the quality, there's a nice texture on the cover, and the pages aren't super glossy, but they are more saturated than in the First Look magazine. And this magazine also really likes to do black and white photos. I only have two issues of this magazine, but that's what I've noticed. There are some color, of course, too. And now we're on to Junkei's page where they talk about his new This Is Not a Song CD. And it is sort of kind of a matte finish quality. It's like in between matte and glossy. It's hard to describe, but I think the pictures turned out pretty nice here. And the rest of the magazine. And for this magazine, I ended up buying this through a Japanese shop and buying it through my proxy service. I found that to be the cheapest option. There are other stores that you could buy through that ship internationally, but I think I bought this off of Rakuten or one of the stores when I was doing a group order. And then lastly, we have the May edition of GQ, and this features a really sizable section of Junho and the first published pictures since his return from his military hiatus. And this is definitely the thickest out of all of them. It weighs, and so when shipping this, this did weigh nearly 2 pounds. So the shipping cost was a bit more expensive. It wasn't too bad through Aladdin, through a group order though. And because there's so many pages, I'm just gonna flip most of it. Let me share what the table of contents looks like. But we do have Brave Girls and a Korean actor who I do like, as well as 2 of the TXT boys in this issue. And this is a much more traditional magazine, or at least what I'm used to, and so the pages are much more glossy compared to the other 2 magazines. And most of K-pop idols are in the back here. And so here are Brave Girls. So all their photos are in black and white. With some Q&A. And then we have 2 of the TXT boys. And we get to Gina's section right at the end. And the main reason, of course, why I bought this. So a lot of these photos, again, were published on GQ's Instagram page, but there are a few others in here. And you could, of course, find translations for, I think, all of these on Twitter, if you follow translation accounts. And that's everything. So I didn't get into price, but I would say they're all fairly similarly priced if you factor in the cost of the magazine itself and shipping cost. For example, I think this was, the base price for this was more expensive than, say, GQ, but because GQ weighs more, it kind of evened out the cost of the First Look magazine. And then as someone not living in Japan, using a proxy service did make this particular magazine a bit more expensive. So if you're trying to order these yourself, not through a group order, those are all factors to put into consideration. But overall, I've been enjoying collecting magazines. And even though they do take a lot of space, I do know people who just take out the sections of their favorites and put them into a file folder to store them that way instead of just keeping the entire bulky magazine. At this point, I'm not doing that. I might have to because my magazine collection is getting pretty ridiculous at this point, but it's been hard for me to consider cutting and taking apart these at this time. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick unboxing of these magazines, and I'll put the links down in the description for the websites I use to buy these if you're interested in buying magazines in the future. And I kind of touched upon this in my last video, but I do have a new job, which is what's been taking up most of my time and why I've been posting so infrequently. So I'm hoping to improve upon that soon, especially with GPM and their June comeback. So I'll have, of course, a lot of videos regarding that release. And I, of course, have all these other videos that I've said I will do that will be coming at some point. So I hope you guys look forward to all that. And until my next video, bye guys.